Steve-O is one of the craziest human beings on the planet. He can do crazy stunts that no one else can perform. He is never scared to go beyond his limits to test himself and make fear his daily best friend. He also used to say that making people happy is one of his goals, and I think he did it. Steve-O is a true artist in his craft. He is an American entertainer, actor, stunt performer, podcaster, and even more that I can describe in a few words. Oh, and he also broke every bone in his body, and he tried every substance known to human beings. This is the story of Steve-O, and his story is full of ups and downs. And in this video, we will see the legend that brought Steve-O to be alive and how it's actually a miracle that he's still alive. Steve-O, from his real name, Stephen Gilchrist Glover, grew up like every boy in this country but with a slight traveling addiction. Steve-O's dad was the president of PepsiCo in the South American division in charge of all operations in Brazil. And due to his father's job, young Steve-O had to follow his parents all over the world. Steve-O could never find real footing in any country he was going to, a place where he can truly grow up in and say that it's his home. And on top of that, his mother was an alcoholic, and Steve-O had to deal with his mother's illness for years while his dad was away making money for everybody. And due to his mother's illness, Steve-O started to drink at a very young age too. With bottles of liquor literally everywhere in the house, it was literally easy for him to start drinking at a very young age. And with his mother in this condition, and his dad being a total absentee and an over-the-top authoritarian when he actually shows up, it's safe to say that when growing up, Steve-O didn't actually learn nothing from his parents. And in a way, something weird started forming in Steve-O's brain, where he started actually doing weird stuff just to kind of try and get the attention of his parents, for example his dad. And he was truly looking for the attention of his dad that he never got, and instead he directed his whole attention into his peers and classmates, where he was grabbing their attention, yes, not their approval. And it didn't end there. Oh boy, it didn't. In 1987, Steve-O is 13 years old, and his favorite band was the Motley Crue. His favorite band was performing in his city, and he wanted to meet them at all cost. So he gets to the Yellow Pages, searches for the manager's name, contacts him, and he figured in which room they were actually staying. And as soon as Steve-O found out the information, he was gone. He was gone to meet his favorite performers, and one of them is Tommy Lee. And from that single encounter with his favorite band, he came back a changed man, and he decided right there and then that lifestyle is what he truly wanted. And he actually started to act out a little bit. He would start to actually get in trouble a lot, start to miss school, and stay outside all the time.
I remember meeting him for sure.
Really?
Oh, for sure, yeah. Because it was just like,
oh, cool.
No, because our tour manager, well, not our tour manager, our manager's brother, he hit us up beforehand. He's like, hey man, this fucking crazy kid called me in my room and told me that he's fucking literally called every single hotel in Toronto looking for us, and he's a massive fan, and so I told him I'd bring him back to say hey to you guys. So I knew about it.
That's great.
But then when we met, I remember meeting him because he was like he is now. See, nothing's changed.
Hey, dude.
Fuck, dude. Fuck yeah.
He discovers his love for skateboarding, and as soon as he found his dad's new camera, Steve-O started to document his adventures in skating, which totally served as a way to calm Steve-O down a little bit and get him out of trouble. But not for long, because at the same time he started hanging out with the stoners of his school, smoking and drinking heavily, which led to an addiction by the time he was graduating high school. After high school, Steve-O is looking to join a university to kinda do like everybody, and he decides to put all of his efforts on the University of Miami in Florida. He looks at college as an opportunity for redemption, but instead, Steve-O goes rogue and discovers the true meaning of partying. Little did he know, he got kicked out from the university after only 1 year for destroying property, partying too much, and disorderly misconduct. That led him to a new lifestyle, and that lifestyle is jumping from couch to couch, from friends to friends, and sometimes even living in the streets, and all of that while pursuing his passion for skateboarding. And while all of that was going on, he was also getting super drunk literally every night to forget about all of his problems. He continued living that lifestyle until 1993. Steve-O decided to get actually serious about his stunts, and he decided to go to Albuquerque and apply to the Clown College. And this one is actually free if you are one of the 50 first students to apply that year. Hope you got that joke. And that decision was life-changing for Steve-O, and he didn't know himself how much that talent will take him in his life. The clown school taught him multiple stunts, multiple ways to be funny and provoke laughter in his audience. And you're gonna ask me, well, Uncle Guccino, how you supposed to graduate from the clown school? Well, I'll let you know. You just gotta make your audience laugh. Like what would make me laugh if you click on that like button and subscribe for future videos. Thank you. And don't forget to comment down below. Finally graduated in 1997, he finally earned the famous name Steve-O. He decided right then and there to mix two of his biggest assets, clowning and skateboarding, and he wanted to make his mark his way. And how? Well, by being a clown while doing some skateboarding. Duh. He saw his opportunity in the Big Brother magazine, and by doing crazy stunts, he might get featured in their magazine. Now, I will let you guess what the trick was. He burned half of his face off, and it worked! Shockingly! He gets directly in contact with Jeff Tremaine for a feature, and that's when they started working together with Jeff Tremaine, Spike Jonze, and Mr. Johnny Knoxville. Go watch my video on the story of Johnny Knoxville. I made it a few weeks ago. Go watch it. Even though it was a challenge to work with Steve-O because of his constant attention-seeking persona, but overall, Steve-O was a great person to have around because he will do whatever it takes for him to make it. So they started making all kinds of crazy videos combining skateboarding and stunts, to the point where people started to tune in just to watch stunts. And up until 2000, this group of people aired their first episode of Jackass the series to MTV, which was not an instant hit in the beginning, but their audience absolutely loved the show. And for Steve-O, all that counted was his father's approval. His mother gets sick with a bad aneurysm and gets permanently hospitalized at the same time. And Steve-O at the same time met with his dad, and his dad let him know that he was truly proud of the dedication that his son has for his craft. And even though they didn't have the greatest of relationship, they still had that moment, and it was super important to Steve-O. So emotional. As Jackass aired for a total of 3 seasons, with each episode being crazier and crazier, the only problem is that the crew was not getting paid enough. For example, Steve-O was getting paid from $200 to $500 per stunt, which is not even enough to cover the medical expenses. Damn, that's harsh. The ripoff doesn't end there though. Steve-O and his friend Wee-Man used to go on tours around the country to do live performances. And after doing multiple shows, selling merchandise and making new videos, Steve-O would still make enough money. You would think that he got rich from all those stunts, but he didn't make more than $3,000 for the tour. The tour was approximately generating between $20,000 to $100,000 every night, but none of that money went to Steve-O. And to cope with the physical pain from all of these shows, and then the mental pain from not being able to pay all of your bills, Steve-O would drown himself in drugs and alcohol to forget about his problems. And after all of these experiences comes Jackass the movie. And that movie officially laid Steve-O as cool, on top of getting a lot of fame from it too. And after accomplishing such a big goal, the most normal feeling is to share this success with your people. And for Steve-O, he actually wanted to share the news with his mom, but at the same time, his mom just died. His mother couldn't see how far he gotten in life and how much her encouragements led him through life too. In November 2003, Donna Glover passes away due to her illness. R.I.P. Donna. Luckily, Steve-O didn't take it as hard because he was in a very safe place, in a good place in his mind too. And even with the terrible news that he just got, he at the same time landed a new deal for a new TV show called Wild Boys with Chris Pointis. They basically traveled around the world learning about different people, different cultures, food, and environment. And personally, that is the best spin-off to Jackass too, because it regroups the same crazy attitude we get from the Jackass movie. All of that leads to 2005, the year that started Steve-O's darkest and hardest times for him, where he used to take a lot of ketamine, a lot of cocaine, Xanax, and a lot more drugs that I may or may not even know about. And from 2005 to 2007, he did so much drugs that at the same time, the more he did, the more videos he would make and the more money he would make at the same time. So it was a vicious circle, and everybody saw that he was tripping balls 24/7.
We thought it'd be fun if you had a few drinks and then came out here and did a stunt. But
I would love that.
All right, we're going to do that. We're going to reel it in just a little bit. Going to get our focus. We're going to get our focus now. Gonna focus on a couple questions, take a few phone calls, then you do the stunt. Yeah.
If I did not love Adam Carolla, then I would not love my business being here.
Right, all right.
And little FYI, don't do drug, kids, because you're gonna end up in that same state of Steve-O in between 2005 and 2007, and you don't want to be like that. That show did him dirty. They expressly tried to get him wasted right before he got on the air because they know that they will get more views if Steve-O goes crazy during the show, which is not cool. I mean, for Steve-O, it didn't matter. He was getting paid to getting drunk and trashing people and doing crazy stuff. He couldn't be happier. He couldn't care less. And that's exactly the point why no one cared. No one. And why? Because people could take advantage of him very easily, even in that clip that you just saw, in a matter that sometimes you may know and that you may not even know. To Steve-O, what mattered the most is to get the most attention he could from everybody around him, going back to that same example that he had with his father growing up. And as long as he was making his family proud, Steve-O could care less about the rest. And as long as his dad was proud of him, he was successful. And then he was okay. He sensed a lot of trauma. Steve-O was literally knee-deep down the rabbit hole, drugged out of his mind for almost 2 years until he got that final push. And this one came from his closest friends from Jackass. Johnny Knoxville and a bunch of people from the Jackass crew came together and literally forced Steve-O to go to rehab. And let me be clear, they didn't come to ask him. It was not a choice. It was either he was going with them or they were gonna beat him up to go with them later. That shows you at the same time how messed up the situation was, but at least it showed that his friends cared enough for him that they had to force him into rehab, because it was either this choice or the other choice would have been death.
Well, right. It was entirely organized by Knoxville. He showed up with, I believe, 7 extra people. And it was not the type of intervention where they ask you if you're willing to accept help. They showed up to simply inform me that I was going to get help. And, by enacting California's 5150 law, they were able to commit me to a psychiatric ward involuntarily. And they were willing to beat me up, overpower me, and force me there. But I've never been a fighter, so they were able to just get me in the car.
And after a lot of hard work and abstinence, on March 2008, Steve-O lived his first day totally sober. He started reading a lot of books on alcoholism, and slowly but surely, with his body getting rid of all of the toxins, his consciousness started realizing all the embarrassment and all of the horrible things he had done under the influence, and it was not pretty. He saw all the harm he had done, all the troubles he made for people, and at the same time he got hit with remorse and shame at the same time. Could you imagine working as hard as he did? Because literally coming back from that deep hole of alcoholism is not easy. And then just to find out that you actually did a lot of crazy, stupid, and humiliating stuff when you were actually under the influence. Lord, you gotta have superpowers to be able to still continue to live on. And Steve-O got on the path of redemption, and from there, he's just living. Today, Steve-O is still sober and has been sober since that rehab incident. The biggest challenge about getting sober is staying sober and moving on with a clean and healthy life. Steve-O still has a ton of people loving him, and thanks to his audience, he was able to get back on his feet and create more crazy things while being sober. Today, he's got a podcast where he goes and interviews a bunch of interesting and cool people while talking about their crazy experiences. And throughout the show, everyone can see that Steve-O is funny, and even funnier than he was while being under the influence. He also adopted a dog called Wendy in Peru, and he became an animal rights activist and an active protester. He loves to test himself to prove that he can do all of the crazy stunts while being sober, to prove he can do it all in any mental state. And he's also released 2 comedy specials, and it looks like Steve-O's got a career in the comedy stand-up world as well, where he tells the audience his craziest and funniest stories. And on top of it all, he got himself a wife just as crazy as he is, and we hope that they have a great life together. With all of this good shit, we can only hope that Steve-O will stay sober the rest of his life.
I always wanted to be a Hollywood stuntman.
Make sure to like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel for more videos in the future. And until then, peace.